I guess if you're allergic to peanuts, don't eat peanuts? I don't know. That's all I got. Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are doing an episode of Hot and Cold. This is a video series I like to do where I talk about the best and worst music over the past week, the hot being the best, the cold being the worst, and some middle-of-the-road tracks too. This week we will be talking about any songs released between November 10th and 16th, 2019. The year is flying by. We're almost through it. I can't believe it, but we keep on rolling just like we roll in these videos. Down below in the description, you'll find all the links to the songs. Feel free to check them out. Let me know what you think of them. And if you have suggestions for future episodes, feel free to suggest. Let's start with the hot tracks this past week. Billie Eilish made her return. It's her latest single since the remix of Bad Guy. That was with Justin Bieber. Didn't really like that one. The latest single, though, Everything I Wanted, is leaps and bounds better, basically because there's no Justin Bieber on the track. We have Billie Eilish at her best. She has contemplative lyrics, she has a subdued atmosphere, and I love the dampened piano chords on this track. It's feeling very fresh. Just the overall aura that this thing is putting off. Moving on from there, Neon Trees released their latest single. This one is called Used to Like, and it's Neon Trees coming through with another catchy hook. Both the performance and the polished production on this track are reminiscent of a Headley-style song. It doesn't really bother me, though. I feel like Neon Trees put their own kind of spin on it, and you can tell it's Neon Trees, like, yeah. Next up, Bugg released his latest single, Kiss Like the Sun. I love the romp and stomp on this tune. Elsewhere last week, we had Andy Shauf, the Canadian singer-songwriter, come through with his latest, Try Again. I love this one for its cute and laid-back vibe going for this. Twin Peaks put out a new single. This one's called Spiders and Kids Smoke. I love the bass line and how the track erupts with such vigor. It's a longer style track that clocks in over 8 minutes, so it might test your patience and tolerance to sit through that, but it's well worth it in my eyes. We had a bit of a deceptive track dropped last week by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. This one's called Wandering Star, and it's deceptive in the way that it sounded like a Christmas song when I first turned this on. You listen to the intro, you hear all those bells, but you know what? It's a solid tune, and it's definitely better than that EP that Noel put out earlier this year. It was just okay. It was passable, but this song is one of the better tracks that he's released in recent memory. Some more Canadian content for this past week, another song recommendation with Jessie Reyez. She's an artist I've never really complimented or praised much in the past. I just felt like her irreverent lyrical content was enough to get on my nerves. However, with her newest single, Crazy, this is a great song, and she still manages to drop a lyrical bomb during the outro. You have to listen to it to hear that lyrical bomb. I won't spoil that for you because it just comes out of nowhere. But yeah, this is a sweet 6/8 ballad with some beautiful vocals. Another single that blew me away last week came from Harry Styles. He has revived my expectations and hopes for this upcoming album. Wasn't much of a fan of that lead-off single, Lights Up, but this new one from him is very cool and chill. The tune is solid, it's addictive, it is, it's great, good stuff. Last week also saw another new single from Coldplay come out. This one's called Everyday Life. It's the title track, which I have to say is pretty bold to put out as a single. Also being the final track on the album, that's also very bold. I just feel like putting out that title and closing track at the same time, it could spoil the record, but you know me, new Coldplay, we have to listen to it before the record comes out. What's happening with it though? It's pretty orchestral. It has a slow piano build. I honestly thought this was going to be an instrumental, given how long it took Chris Martin to sing. It was over a minute worth of an intro before we had any vocals. But as long as this song took to get going, I feel like it paid off. We continue the themes of loving each other like brothers and sisters. I feel like it's going to do a pretty good job of wrapping up this entire story of the album. Again, I can't share my thoughts on the entire record, but from what I've heard right now, things are looking pretty good. And now wrapping up hot tracks from this past week, we have a new single from Trippie Redd and DaBaby. This one's called Death. It's a pretty strong return for Trippie Redd, who has been laying me down quite a bit lately, including his exclamation point album. Thankfully though, this new track from him, Death, it's a great trap song. We have a pretty interesting instrumental, and we have great performances from both artists on it. Alright, now moving on to the middle of the road tracks from this past week. These are songs that I thought were okay, not great, not bad, somewhere in the middle, something to put on your radar. And first up we have Beck. He has released yet another single. This one is landing in the middle of the road. I think the last one was in the cold for me. This one's a lot better. This one's called Everlasting Nothing. Yeah, much better than the last one. It's still lacking a bit of direction, I would say. The form is a little scatterbrained and kind of aimlessly wandering about, not really knowing what its purpose is. The singing from Beck also sounds very aged. It somehow sounds like he's older than what he really is. But the tune on the track, I guess that's what I'm giving the middle of the road to, because that makes up for those other elements. Moving on from there, Grandson, a Canadian artist, they put out a new single last week. This one's called Happy Pill, and I feel like with Grandson, I'm starting to get stuck in the past with them. I love the EP they put out earlier this year, volume 2 of it. I'm just wishing that we get more of what's on their volume 2 of that EP they put out earlier this year, because the quality has been noticeably dropping of late ever since that volume 3 came out. Grandson might just be in a bit of a rush to put out new music. I feel like maybe he might benefit from a break, or I don't know, maybe all 3 of these volumes are meant to add up to a full album release. But I don't know, maybe the break would do him well, just to refocus and get things pumping again. Next up, Danger Mouse and Sparklehouse teamed up with MF Doom for a track called Ninjarus. I guess hip-hop tracks from Danger Mouse are a thing now. It's okay. Jhené Aiko and her ex-boyfriend Big Sean come together with Ty Dolla $ign on None of Your Concern. On this track, I think that Big Sean's lyricism is captivating. His wordplay is amongst some of his best of late. I mean, that two lips should come in a vase line. Pretty witty. However, it's the tune that is pretty run-of-the-mill. The structure, it's kind of unique, I guess, but I'm still having this weird thought run through my brain whenever I hear Jhené Aiko team up with Big Sean. Like, does their breakup not bother them? Doesn't faze them? It doesn't make them get on each other's nerves? Are they recording this in the same room together? What are they doing? Oh well, it's art. It's art. We move on. Modest Mouse released a new single last week, Ice Cream Party. This is the first track to be over 2 minutes from Modest Mouse, out of their singles that they've put out this year at least. And yeah, they're changing the pace, I guess. I don't think the track really justifies its length though. It's kind of repetitive and bland. Like, you've heard the entire song by like the 3-minute mark. The atmosphere is cool. I mean, it is ice cream. That's gotta be one of my lamest jokes yet. I'm cringing. If we can move past that, yeah, atmosphere is cool. The strange vibes that we get from Modest Mouse, they're still there. They're still on the song. I just don't feel like sitting through it. They've done much better before. Who else could do better, at least over the past week, are the artists I'm now going to talk about with the cold tracks. These are some of the worst songs I heard. Up All Night by Khalid. No surprise with this one. And the more I think about Khalid, really, there's one descriptor that goes for him. People always say that he's got the vibes. I don't know what vibe they're talking about. If it's the one that's going to put me to sleep, because Khalid is asleep at the microphone while he sings, then sure, I totally understand that. It's just really unfortunate and sad because there is so much potential for Khalid. Like, he has a phenomenal voice, he has the talent, he just throws all that away because of his disinterested and passive vocal delivery. And not to mention that the instrumental on this track is stagnant. It doesn't do anything different throughout its entire runtime. Oof. Also last week, we had a remix of a Taylor Swift song, Lover. This one's featuring Shawn Mendes, and I feel like Shawn ruins this track. Plain and simple. The vocal exchanges on this track are unnatural and awkward. I don't even think Taylor re-recorded her lines for this song, so she left it up to Shawn just to sing over top and go along with like a karaoke version. I don't know. There's also something about Shawn's boyish and melodramatic delivery. The harmonies aren't really there. They aren't anything of note or substance. He goes way too hard than he has to, and I don't know, maybe it's just Taylor's one last attempt at making this single bigger than it is, because I ain't buying it. I don't think the single will chart any higher than what it has already done. That ship has long sailed, and now you're just really reaching at thin air, pulling something out of the hat, trying to think that Shawn Mendes is going to help you out. Sure, he had Senorita earlier this year with Camila Cabello. He's kind of the talk of Canada, but Lover as a song, I think Taylor Swift does it better by herself. Of course, now that I name dropped Camila Cabello, she had to put out a song last week. Living Proof is the name of this one. We have lots of piercing and shrill falsettos. What a big surprise. The downside to them, though, they're even pitchy and lofty for Camila to hit. What is okay with this track, I guess, is the production. I just feel like the singing easily ruins this song for me. And lastly, to wrap up this week, we have a song put out by John Legend featuring Kelly Clarkson. This is called Baby It's Cold Outside. And yeah, this is not an original tune. This is a cover with changed lyrics, I guess. There's a bit of controversy with this song. The lyrics, they are modernized, they are revamped, they are focusing on a lot more of the sexual intentions and desires of the male vocalist. It's a little touchy of a subject. It's making the song a lot more political and 2019 focused than what it has to be, I think. I guess the main issue I have with this song is that it's a reinterpretation of something that was never meant to be about body rights or consent. I don't think that John Legend is aware that this song was originally put out in that context, that yes, it was wrong for women to stay out past a curfew. It was scandalous to stay out late, not only at anyone's house, but especially a man's, and that's even as a new couple. So I think what that original song was intending to do was to talk about that kind of taboo in society. I mean, if you're trying to recreate this song and make it about sexual consent, I feel like you're missing the mark a bit. That being said, I don't want to dwell on the sexual ramifications. If you enjoy this song for that reinterpretation, go right ahead. I just feel like this song was already good before. Modernizing it for 2019, kind of useless in my opinion. Even if this song has been talked about a lot more in the past few years, people need to remember that context is key. Hopefully I don't get my head cut off for that last remark, but there you have it. There's Hot and Cold for this past week. Make sure you sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of these songs. Debate me. I'd love to hear you share your opinion. Leave a like if you liked today's video. Subscribe if you're new in town. I appreciate it so much. You guys are amazing. I'll catch you next week and have a rockin' day.